A single index card, typed one name across the top, Ted. It sits inside a cardboard box in a King County police annex. Filed in August of 1974, the same month a woman phoned it in herself. She was not a witness. She shared a bed with the man she was reporting. Her name won. Appear in most retellings of this case. Her instinct will. Somewhere inside 4,000 tip cards logged that summer. Hers is the only one written by someone who already knew the answer. By the end of this film, you'll understand why that card was never pulled. Elizabeth Klupfer met Ted Bundy in a Seattle tavern in 1969. For 5 years, he was, by every visible measure, the safest man in her life, a law student, a crime commission volunteer, a suicide hotline volunteer. He helped raise her daughter. Neighbors called him courteous. On the 14th of July, 1974, 2 women vanished in daylight from Lake Sammamish State Park, 20 miles from Klopfer's apartment. Witnesses described a young man, arm in a sling, driving a tan Volkswagen Beetle, calling himself Ted. Detectives pursued the sling first, a reasonable lead. They cross-referenced hospital records across 3 counties for any man treated for a recent arm injury, certain the cast was real. It was not. It was a prop, and the search burned weeks chasing a wound that never existed. The official story, repeated for a year, was that no one close to Bundy ever suspected him. That story is false. Within days of the composite sketch airing, Elizabeth Klopfer picked up her phone. She had already found plaster of Paris in his closet, matching a substance tied to a crime scene. She had already found a meat cleaver and women's clothing that weren't hers. She had already seen his tan Beetle outside her building. She called King County Police. She called Seattle Police. She gave them his full name. What looked like a case with no warning signs was in fact a case with a warning that arrived on time, logged exactly as she gave it. The mask was never flawless. It was ignored. Here is the detail that changes the shape of this case. Klopfer's tip did not vanish. Detectives eventually cross-referenced Volkswagen Beetle registrations against the Ted tip list Theodore Bundy's. Names surfaced on both, months before his 1975 arrest in Utah. He was flagged, twice, still deprioritized. The documented reason: Bundy's own resume worked against the investigation. He had interned at the Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Commission. He had written a rape prevention pamphlet for women. He answered phones at a crisis line beside a King County counselor. To detectives checking hundreds of names, a man who spent his evenings advising women how to avoid predators didn't read as one. The credential built to prevent crime became the camouflage that delayed catching one. Elizabeth Klopfer did not make one call and stop. Over roughly a year, she contacted police multiple times, updating them each time her doubt outweighed her disbelief. Then she see him again affectionate, ordinary, worried about her, and convince herself she imagined it. She has described this period as a private war between what her eyes reported and what 5 years of intimacy told her to feel. She kept dating him through parts of that window. She also kept calling. Both were true of the same woman. When Bundy was arrested in Utah in August 1975 for a different crime, Klopfer contacted authorities again, unprompted, and volunteered everything she'd withheld from herself. The plaster, the cleaver, the crutches, the beetle. She was not thanked as a witness who helped solve a case. For years, she carried guilt for loving him, and for not pushing harder. The record doesn't support the second guilt. She pushed. The system filed her tip under a name it wasn't ready to prioritize. Return to the card in the box, filed in August of 1974. It carried a first name, a last name, a car description, and a pattern of behavior supplied a full year before Bundy's arrest by a source with more direct access to him than any detective. It was accurate, specific, actionable. It was also one of thousands of cards bearing the same fragment of a name. Before cross-referencing that volume of paper was fast, Klopfer's card was never wrong. It was simply indistinguishable on the day it was filed from the ones that led nowhere. This case was never a story of missing warnings. It was a warning that arrived correctly and had to wait its turn. The card is still in that box. Somewhere in it, so is every name that came in too late to matter, and one that came in exactly on time. William, dry. If you're the kind of person who actually calls it in hit like,